made the effort. You are the type of people that make changes. I've been privy to a few of the meetings with the authorities of eThekwini, the COO, the CFO. What I've taken away from those meetings is that they are completely overwhelmed. They make promises they just cannot keep. The whole structure has to be shaken up and drastically changed. And that's what we are doing, because they make promises they can't keep. They keep telling us that they will sort out the sewage problems and they're going to create a war room for us. And here we are months later with 365 pages of complaints that we've handed into the courts already. And they are powerless, literally. It's worse than I thought when I joined this movement. Assad, our chair, is going to explain to you the ins and outs of what we're doing and allay your fears with not paying your rates. You are paying your rates, you'll be putting them into a trust account. So Assad will allay any fears, and if you have any questions you can ask him. I'll hand you over to Assad.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know this is a church, but let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much, Enzo. Again, as Enzo explained, the fact that you guys have taken the time to come and listen to us and understand, and obviously to ask any questions. We're pretty much aware of where we are. So the Westfield Ratepayers Association, we've launched a protest action against the city, and in terms of this action, we basically went to withhold our rates. Now the question comes about as to why we have taken this stance. And it stems about from being in existence for almost 2.5 years. We've been engaging with the city from the very beginning that we started the association, and as Enzo explained, numerous meetings, numerous promises, and then finally we decided to draw a line in the sand when we realized they're not taking us seriously, and it's just, taking us for fools. We then started a process of litigation against the city, and when this budget was put on the table, we felt it was too high. It was the expectation was too high. The affordability was definitely not taken into account, and more especially not just for us. So all of us that are sitting here can be regarded as middle income, but this budget was going to actually hurt the poor far more than it's going to hurt us. What we always say amongst ourselves, we'll complain, we'll moan, we'll groan, we'll talk to the neighbors, we'll go into WhatsApp, we'll make all the noise that we want. But at the end of the month, we will still pay. Come the next month, we will still pay. We'll do this year in, year out. 30 years later, we're sitting here. For 30 years, we've been doing this. We've been complaining. No one's listening to us. No one's decided to do something. The laws favor the government, and we are just left with no recourse. So, month after month, year after year, 30 years later, this is where we are. So, when this budget was put onto the table, obviously we as the WRA, we've been researching the expenses and the maladministration in terms of the municipality, and we didn't do forensic reports. Understand that what we looked at is what you can look at. You can pick up an Auditor General report, you can look at it, it's there, it's in black and white, you don't need the POPI Act or the Access to Information Act, none of this, it's out there in the public domain. Dave sitting in front of me and his wife spent hours upon hours. In fact, if I bring Dave here, he'll start start talking now, you'll finish tomorrow. That's how much of maladministration is in the city. We just looked at the top line. So we just looked at losses. We looked at the loss of water, we looked at the loss of electricity, and actual losses, meaning the city paid out with no invoices. And in the last 5 years, that amount was 50 billion yen. So we said, hold on. You asking us to pay more, obviously in terms of the tariff hike, and we are saying that you lost 50 billion yen out the back door. So how does this make sense? Clearly it doesn't. We obviously, as the WRA, it's a full executive. In fact, I think we're about 15 or 16 strong. And we meet weekly, by the way. So we have weekly meetings, we strategize, we discuss. And we looked at the option of which would be the best option for us as Westall. So I understand that we actually looked at ourselves. We weren't thinking of going out of Westall. What would be the best option? The options that we had, one, we could interdict the tariff increase. And there's enough evidence and supporting document to actually do that. But then we realized, okay, fine, we will get the interdict, meaning we will be able to stop the municipality from applying these tariff hikes. But what would be the recourse? Because the bigger problem is the maladministration. So the interdict is not going to fix it. We need to close the tap, so to speak, or the leaking bucket. So then we decided, we looked at all the legislation available to us, and we decided the best option would be to declare a dispute with the city. So the dispute is a section in the Municipal Systems Act. It's 102, subsection 2. It gives you the legal framework to declare a dispute with the city. Then we discussed, what are we disputing? Are we disputing just the tariff increase, or what are we disputing? And we spent a lot of time around that, in fact. And eventually we came to a point where we decided that because of the maladministration, and sorry, before we get to that, we've had extensive meetings with the city, in fact with the CFO. And we met with him in the first week of June. In fact, he invited us because he knew that we were not satisfied with the response that we got from the city, and the fact that we weren't happy with the way this whole process was applied and implemented. So he invited us to a meeting. We went to this meeting. In fact, there was a few of them. Dave was at this meeting, Enzo was at that meeting, a few other of the executives made time, they were at this meeting. And the serious discussion that we had with him, and what we put on the table, is that our concern is there are no systems in place currently in the municipality to prevent the loss of money. So there is maladministration, preferred tendering, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But the fact is, there's money leaving the city and it's just flowing out. And we put this on the table and we said it's a serious concern for us. His response was, they are putting systems in place in the municipality that will prevent this from happening. So any tender, any job or whatever that needs to be given out by the city, anything above 250,000 rand will go through an automated system. And the system will decide who to give that contract out or the tender. We pushed out. I have to tell you, we pushed out. In fact, these two gentlemen sitting here really pushed out, and I had to actually ask them to calm down. But they pushed. He assured us, he said, I'm telling you, I'm giving you my word, I'm guaranteeing you that the systems are in place. A week later, and you guys would have have seen it on the ENCA reports. 90 million rand left Treasury or City Hall in that same month. After meeting with us, after putting his heart and soul on the table, the fact is 90 million rand left the city. So we said, you know what, this is not on. How does the city expect us to continue putting our money into their coffers, whereas they're not protecting it? It's unacceptable. So we said, when we looked at how we're going to go about protesting this, as I've mentioned, where we're going to just protest the tariff increase or what. But taking into account this factor, it made us take a decision. And the decision that we took, which is the decision that or the reason why we're standing here, is we decided that it's our constitutional obligation, mine, yours, everyone's, to look after the money that is due to the city that needs to be used for the purpose that it's intended for. The reason why we're paying rates, the reason why we buy electricity from the municipality, the reason why we buy water from the municipality is for that reason. In order for the city to be able to generate an income to provide services for its people. And this means every single person in the city, not just you, not just me. In fact, the laws of this country state and stipulate we have to address the imbalances of the past. We've accepted this. To be honest with you, it's something that we support. We said, hold on. Let's go and see. And I put this challenge out to the city and to the mayor. In fact, I'm on Facebook Live, you're probably watching. Take me to one area where you have done this. You've addressed the imbalance of the past. Because on our doorsteps, we've got Chesterville, we've got Claremont, and we work in these communities. We work, and a lot of the people who stay in that community actually work in Westwood, so we know them. They tell us their problems. We can go now to any of these suburbs. There's raw sewage in the street, there's no water, sometimes electricity is gone for a month, 2 months. They're in a worse situation than us. So we said, hold on, if you're telling us that you're taking this money and you're addressing the imbalance of the past, what imbalance of the past are you talking about? It's certainly not happening. In fact, when we started this campaign, a community out in Richmond Farm, they reached out to us. This community has not had piped water for more than 3 years. We're saying it's unacceptable. So, all of these things taken into account, we said, hold on. It has become our constitutional obligation to ensure that whatever money gets put towards the city is used for its intended purposes. Right now, that's not happening. We know that. So we put this to the city, we declared a dispute. In fact, we've written several letters to them, advising them that this is what we're going to do. We've written to the city, we've written to the MEC for Proctor KZN. In fact, we wrote to her twice. She didn't respond. We then escalated to the Minister of Proctor. She didn't respond. We even then wrote to the President, and he didn't respond. Where we stand at the moment, we've openly declared to the city. In fact, you guys would have seen the city itself has started to put out notices, etc., etc. So they are aware. In fact, some political parties have been issuing statements as well. So we know that they are aware. We didn't put the question to them to say, listen, I'm telling you outright, I am not going to pay you. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. I'm openly saying it publicly, everywhere. The right thing to do for them was to intimidate me, to say, no, you can't do that, that's illegal. But they can't, because they know they're wrong. In fact, we're waiting to take the challenge. So a lot of people raise concerns. What would happen if we did this? Is it legal? Is it not legal? They'll cut my electricity, cut my water, they'll take my house. All of those things are not true. By the time they come to take your house, the city wouldn't even be able to survive. But let's unpack that. So the process would be, we're paying into an account that where the money will be held in trust. Usually you default. The default would be a 1 month period. So meaning that if you didn't pay in June, on your July bill you'll get a notice. That notice will advise you that you are in arrears. From that date, you're then given 14 days to make payment or whatever credit control measures they'll take against you. We've seen the city change the wording, so to speak. Because what they have been doing in the past is disconnecting people for electricity due to non-payment. And that's illegal. They can't do that. We've made them aware, we've written to them, and that's the reason why they've changed that. We have rights in this country. And it's in our constitution that every single person, immaterial who you are and of what status you hold in this country, you are entitled to basic electricity and water. That's the rule. No law, no legislation can supersede the Constitution. It doesn't work like that. So they have done disconnections, quite a few of them. We challenged them on that basis. And obviously they had to go and restore the electricity. Without going to court, obviously, we've done that. We do accept that some people have fallen into arrears. That's the unfortunate reality. A lot of people, due to COVID, etc., etc., etc. But to disconnect them and not make an alternate provision is illegal. So in other words, you owe the city a packet full of money. You're unable to make that commitment, so they need to try and get that money out of you, and the strong arm would be to disconnect you. If they do that, they are, by law, supposed to install a prepaid meter as a replacement. They cannot leave you disconnected. So, like I said, we've challenged them on it. They are aware that we are watching them. In fact, there was a lady from Reservoir Hills that was without power for almost 3.5, 4 months. And when we started this campaign, she asked us to assist. And within a day or two, we got them to put the meter in our house. So as the WRA, in terms of a pressure group, right now, the city responds. We write to them, they respond. Anything out of line, we challenge them on it. So, we've been going around a few places, and we said, those who are prepared to join us in this campaign, you don't pay the city, you put it into this account, and we said that if they come to disconnect you, we go to court. So we were sitting yesterday with the legal team, and actually when we were thinking about this, we didn't realize that we actually missed a step. Before they disconnect you, they need to give you a disconnection notice, or give you some sort of a notice. They can't give you a disconnection notice. They won't try. But let's assume they do. Either a disconnection notice or a summons or whatever it is. I don't know. I can't even imagine what they're going to try to come up with. Because they can't do any of this. But let's assume that they do. So Dave is part of the protest campaign. He puts his money into the account. He falls into arrears according to the city. They have to give him notice to take action legally or some sort of a credit measure. The moment they do that, and the fact that he's putting in a dispute, we've now taken the decision, we're not going to wait for you to come and disconnect us. At that point, we will take you to court. And we've made this clear to you. So, I think in terms of where we stand, and in terms of the preparations that we've taken, I do believe, in fact, Some people have friends in Treasury and they've spoken to them. And the city is concerned, I have to tell you. They don't have more than a month's worth of cash. This will definitely bring them back to the table. All we're asking is for them to set aside the tariff increases for various reasons. In fact, the entire budget is a scam. It's illegal as it stands. There's lots of things that the city is doing which is illegal, and it is unacceptable, infringing on our constitutional rights. So I'll give you an example. In fact, we're challenging them on this in the coming weeks. They adopted a budget of 18.49% on electricity. We put the city under pressure because NERSA only allowed 15.1. So we put them under pressure. We forced NERSA to hold public consultations. And because they didn't, and they know they had to, they convened this meeting, but they convened after Italy Municipality adopted the 18.49. But they still had to do it. So they convened this meeting. We were at the meeting, we put our proposals on the table, and we explained to NERSA why NERSA shouldn't allow them. And we even mentioned to NERSA that if you approve that 18.49, then we, as the Westville Ratepayers Association, will take you to court. Because you have a position. Government put you there to ensure that you set those limits. And there's a reason why those limits are set. Otherwise, municipalities will simply do as they please, which is what eThekwini Municipality has been doing. They'll just simply come and say it's 20%, 25%. If there wasn't NERSA, which is the oversight committee or the board, we would be in a more serious situation. So, the 15.1 is what we pushed on. We asked NERSA, firstly NERSA did give them the instruction, but wasn't prepared to publish it or put it out in public. They sort of wanted to hide it. So we wrote back to NERSA and we said, we can't work like this. These are public documents, no cloaks and daggers. Either you give it to us, or we will go to court to extract it. So they had to give it to us. We then wrote back to the city. We said, we have it now in black and white. You're not allowed to go more than 15.1. You have to now restart the process of public engagement. You've got to rework your budget with this new tariff, and you now need to explain to us how this is going to impact on the community. Obviously, they didn't do that. So they just reverted to 15.1. We waited for the July billings to come out. This team here, they like, I don't know, chihuahuas or bulldogs or pit bulls. But we waited. And as soon as the billings came out, we did the calculations, we could see that they only applied 15.1. You must be probably thinking you should be clapping for this, you've achieved something. But there's a bigger player here, at hand here. A municipality cannot take arbitrary decisions to change tariffs, whether they come down or not. If we allow them to put the tariff down, they can put the tariff up. And that's why there's legislation in place that prevents them to do so. They didn't obviously publish it, they haven't spoken about it, we wrote to them about it, we advised them that we are aware of it. We went one step further. We wanted to know if a council resolution was taken to adjust this tariff. Because that's, even if they did that as a basis, we would have been saying, okay. They didn't even call a council meeting to take the resolution to move from 18.49 to 15.1. So what this means? It means someone went to someone in the office and whispered to them and said, change this. And that's against the Constitution. When you vote, whatever you do, this is what you are voting for, your constitutional rights. What the city is doing is violating those rights. And we have to address that. It's become necessary, because if we don't, guys, we're going to move into a situation where the government will do as they want and we will have to just be submissive. And if we come to that point, then we're in a really, really bad situation. So, cut a long story short, we said enough is enough. We're not going to give them a cent. Come back to the drawing board. If you're prepared to sit down and talk to us, we will try to reach a resolution. If we reach the resolution, that money is in the bank, it's you the only beneficiary to this money. You sign, we agree. Whatever decision we've taken and both parties are happy, that money comes to you, we continue. That's the demand that we put to them. We're obviously now waiting and seeing what action they're going to take. But as far as we are concerned, for those of you who are wanting to be part of the campaign, you're more than welcome to join. I'm more than happy to take questions now.
Sorry, if this area comes into it, would we fall under you guys? Or would we have to start our own race association?
Can you repeat the question into the mic for purposes?
The gentleman is asking if he can join the campaign directly, or this community needs to form a Ratepayers Association before they join us. That's the question. The answer to that, sir, is you don't need to form a Ratepayers Association. You can join in the campaign directly.
We can sign up.
Question, please.
Yeah. So, it's a very good question. You want to know where to sign up. So, there's a few Ratepayer associations, not a few, quite a few, who have partnered with us. We've called this campaign the Tekwini Rates Protest Movement. We've given it a name. And we've been referring to those Ratepayer associations as affiliates. When we've been writing to the city, we've been writing as Westfield WRA. Now, they kind of want to be part of the process. And instead of us referring to them as affiliates, they want to be part of the decision making, so to speak. And because we're doing this in the interest of everyone, not just Westfield, we are happy to look into that. So we're changing a little bit of the campaign. You'll find that it's starting to evolve into ERPM. The exco from WRA will then come and sit on this ERPM, and it will be open to representatives of your community to be part of the decision making. But to answer the short answer is in the next day or two, we'll be ready to rock and roll.
And then I heard some people are concerned that if they join if they was holding rates and they don't pay the government, then and they put it into the trust, that if they sell their house, they can't get the rates clearance.
Correct. That is correct. So, but remember, you're in a dispute. So when you're in a dispute and now you decide to sell your property for whatever reason, and if you're fortunate enough that within a week or 2 weeks you do have a buyer, and you actually want to sell the house, there is a process where you can come out of the protest, and whatever money you put into this protest will get paid directly to the city anyway. Because there's only one beneficiary, which is the municipality. So we wouldn't give you back your money, but we would give it to the city to allow you to get the rates cleared.
How far are you prepared to go with this, bearing in mind Etukwini is a very big area? So to me, the more areas that band together, the stronger the capability of success and achieving a holistic success.
This campaign covers the entire city now. What we didn't even expect that, to be honest with you. We don't even have the resources to manage such a big area. And like I said, we actually started it just for Westfield, but people soon got to know about it, and they were like, hold on. You can't do this alone. And if we have to start this, it's going to take us a long time. Could we not just, join you guys? The fortunate part is we anticipated that would happen. So when we lodged the dispute, we didn't lodge it as Westfield only. We lodged it as Westfield and anyone who wants to be part of the process. So we had a little bit of foresight. In fact, we had in part of the meeting yesterday with the attorneys, is that we just need to make sure that we keep our hands clean in terms of the mandate. So when you ask me when all of this, it's online, but you have to give us a mandate. So in other words, you say, I agree that I think we might have to change the words from Westfield to this ERPM, so to speak, to say that I mandate this organization to act on my behalf. Because you need to give us that local standing to represent you.
Like power of attorney, in other words.
Correct.
Proxy. Are you a registered entity?
The Westfield Ratepayers Association is within NPC. But this new body that we're talking is relatively new. It's not registered, but...
Can I assist you with registering that free of charge?
Yes, please.
take the name down.
Repeat it over the mic for the
Take
people.
her name down, find out where she stays, who her grandfather, all the family people.
For our Facebook
We
audience.
need people, seriously, we do need people.
And
And the more
Thank
people
you.
we get to help us, the better.
I would do
Registration has been sponsored. Thank you.
And there's 3 directors on there, yeah, and I will have registered. You tell me who. On IDs, and I don't even need. All I need is the ID numbers, the copy of the ID with the date of issue. If you're married, I need your wife's details and the date of marriage, and I will have it registered in a day.
We'll talk offline.
It's all very well holding the rates, but will there be huge penalties from the council? So in the end, we withheld 50,000, but actually we due 200,000. That could be quite serious.
That's a valid question. So, when you declare the dispute, they are not allowed to implement any credit control measures. So, they're not allowed to disconnect your electricity or services, number one. Number two, they're not allowed to issue any penalties on arrears. Number three, they're not allowed to rescind any existing credit control agreements. So it could be that you may have already entered into a credit agreement for some other reason of sorts, and the fact that you're now declaring the dispute, they can't say, oh, hold on, you signed a credit agreement with us, you agreed to pay 25% down. If you start to protest, this 100,000 that you owe becomes due immediately. They can't do that. It's illegal for them to do that.
Sounds like we really don't know.
We have silks and bonds.
I can tell you lots of hours of many
Well
hours.
done.
Many hours.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm deviating a bit, but we're a few months away from the election. And in this area, we've got a councillor who is doing a lot of good work. Good work.
Good luck.
So now you come up and you ruffle this. Where do you think this is going? Are you, in terms of the amendment now of the EIC law, are you looking at forming an organization in the sense of fighting and going for elections? Or are we just, where are we going? Because the councillors, they are supposed to give us feedback, sit down with us, formulate IDPs, agree on the budgets, and submit all these things. And I've been here for 25 years in Toti. I've never, ever had a meeting with the councillors where they are discussing these IDPs. So for me, yes, I can hear you are apolitical, just a civic organization, but let's be serious now. We're talking about our money. We're talking about our future. We're talking about devaluation of our properties. Dorchester, that's where I was born, that's where I grew up. The roads, the leaks along the streets, you name it. It's worse than me. If you think it's worse here, go to Umlazi, go to those Kwamash, go to Inanda. This is nothing. So what I'm asking, where really your strategy? Is it just short term, medium term? Once this has been cleared, then we pull back.
I think it's a very good question. So we have no intention to contest any elections. That's not our purpose. In fact, we strongly believe that the solutions are not political. So we're not even going to aim for that. What we are aiming for is the fact that everyone is entitled to basic services, immaterial of who you are. And the reason why service delivery is failing is because there's no checks and balances. And we are saying, so part of our solution, and you asked a great question. So part of our solution, in fact, that we're putting on the table is that we, as the Ratepayers Association, whether we call it that new name or whatever they want to call it, we want oversight over the municipality, meaning we want direct oversight. Who are getting the contracts? What are the contracts worth? Is it necessary? Because I'll give you an example. We went to one community the other day, and that community mentioned to us, we didn't even ask the question. There was a road that didn't require resurfacing, but it got resurfaced. And a road that didn't need resurfacing didn't get resurfaced. So there wasn't a need for it, but there was a need for the contract. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I can make it a little bit more clear. But that's the problem. So we are saying we want oversight on this. In fact, this community that I'm talking about in Richmond Farm, and this is the unfortunate reality of this country. Someone wants to make money from deploying water tankers. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So these are not city tankers, this is a contract. And because they want to make money from this contract, they destroy the infrastructure. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we're saying, no, we don't want this. It's a problem. We want this country to work. All of you are sitting here. You're sitting here not because for yourself, let's be honest. Your concern is for your community. Yes, all of them haven't bothered to arrive. But you have a concern. You have a concern for yourself, the environment, the people next to you, the communities around you. You have that concern. And you want to be part of the solution. That is why you're sitting here. All we are doing is we are creating this platform and the network to try and fix things. So to put you at ease, the whole country is now looking at us to see what happens here in Etequini. If we can fix this. Because if we can fix this, we fix the country. And I'll tell you this much. We've got an MEC for Cocktail, right? She gets paid to do her job. Every morning she wakes up, whether she signs a clock card or she doesn't sign the clock card, but the fact is she gets paid to do her job. Last year, the property rates went up. All of you know. Some of you probably got affected by it. So your property would have went up significantly high for some odd reason, and you felt aggrieved. So the process is you need to lodge an objection. That's the process. So you went and you lodged your objection. I'm not sure if there's any of you who've been through this. But your objection hasn't been dealt with. And it hasn't been dealt with because the MEC for Kokta failed to appoint an appeals board for over a year. I'm asking, hold on. What do they do? What do they do? That's her job. And if you're not doing your job, then why are you in that position? And if we have a lot of these people in government who are not doing their job, that are only holding spaces, then it's left up to you and me and everybody else to hold them accountable. Because we need the city to work. If the city doesn't work, we all fail. Every one of us fails.
The reality is registering another political party is exactly what government wants. Why? Look at US, look at UK, 2 parties. Yeah, we've got hundreds of parties that register every year, pay huge amounts to have board to appear or contest award, a municipality, etc. And the more they are, the more dilutes the opposition to what's happening. So political parties are absolutely useless. There are too many of them, and they are too dissipated and widespread, and they have no teeth. Our opposition isn't anywhere near to where it should be, because there are so many other hundreds of parties for people to disperse their votes to. It's a joke.
We're not being political, trust me.
Thank you.
We're not being political. We have no intention to.
We'd like to keep our good life.
Yeah, we like to sleep properly at night. The gentleman is asking if we're aiming to push the city under administration. So the answer is yes. I think you figured that out. By withholding the cash, the city won't have any finances to operate. In terms of the finance, Public Finance Management Act, a city that does not have cash, operating cash to run itself, has to be put under administration. So that's what we're aiming for. And once the city is put under administration, that opens the door to set up this oversight committee as well, what we're suggesting. So it's a strategic move. I mean, it goes without saying that if you didn't smell it, then you probably were sleeping.
Do you have a bodyguard?
Sorry?
Do you have a bodyguard?
Do you have a bodyguard?
I've got 2 on my shoulders.
We kind of got them.
So,
Look, to put it into perspective, and it's a valid question, I'm trying to just brush it off. I don't even think about it. But if we worry about this, if we seriously worry about this, then we wouldn't do what we do. And nobody would want to do it. So somebody needed to stand up and say, you know what, to hell with this. Whatever happens, happens. Let them do what they need to do. We need to say what we need to say. If we keep quiet, they're going to ride ramshot over us. And that's what they've been doing. And we're saying, hold on, that's not what we agreed to. When we moved to this new dispensation, we agreed that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. And we need to be a partner in that. And we need to make sure that that happens. Building communities, building everything, building the economy, making sure the economy works. Allowing people to have jobs. Allowing people to have dignity. And again, this comes back to one of the reasons why we didn't immediately go to court. And this is a very, very valid reason, and I need you guys to understand this. When we were contemplating about what we needed to do, our attorneys, our legal advisors, they said, Sia, you have a solid case. Absolutely 100% you'll win this case. But then what? So we looked confused. We said, what do you mean? You want to go to court, you want to win? We said, yeah, you'll win. And then what? Still I'm not understanding what you're trying to tell me. So he says, let me put it to you clearly, slowly, pictures, draw crayons, whatever, then you'll understand. So I said, okay, show me. He said there's over 9 judgments against the Department of Education, some of them even in the Constitutional Court, So people have taken the education department to court and they won regarding the issue of percolating toilets in schools. So communities, organizations, whatever, took the education department to court, got the judgment and won. But we still have pit latrines in South Africa. People still fall in the pit latrines. And he's saying, you'll get it. And then what? It's not going to change because all the department has to do is say, sorry, we don't have the budget. How do you expect us to build toilets for the kids? Even though we're in 2023 and we are saying it's unacceptable. We say it's unacceptable. We don't even imagine what it means to be. I'm telling you, go to these schools. Go and look at the condition of those toilets. Try to use the toilet. Then you will see what I'm saying. Then you won't even ask me, hey, do you have a bodyguard? You will be saying, I'm coming with you.
Just a quick one. If my understanding is our rates pay for things like our sewage and our rubbish removal and all that sort of thing. Now, if we withhold those rates and we give it to the trust, where is, and you get enough people to do it, where is it agreed going to get the funds to offer that, carry on that service? All right, that's number one. Look, they need to clean the mergers and all that sort of thing as well. Yeah, I'm just using an
Yeah,
example.
but we all know that's
But
what
now,
happens, so
so-
let's look at what is working.
Yeah, what will happen is that funds they won't have that funds, so we could end up going down a bit until they realize that the Ratepayers Association is actually having an impact on us, and they give in to you for the association, and then you guys then inject money into it to get the stuff back up to standard. By monitoring, for example, by monitoring the tenders. Hypothetically, a tender came in 150. You guys monitored it, you guys approved it at 130. Therefore, there'll be a saving of 20. That 20, whatever it is, can that be used in developing the community's infrastructure, for example?
You've asked quite a few questions there. The first thing is you're raising a concern that if you withhold the funds, the level of service is going to drop. It's a possibility that exists, we don't deny that. Are we prepared to make those sacrifices? That's the question. And are we prepared to make this sacrifice for the greater good? Is the next question. Now, when we're talking about services, not like as an example, I know one of the scare tactics that a lot of the councils, by the way, are putting out there is that the municipality is not going to come and collect your refuse. And it's making you scared because, I don't know, for some reason we're scared for dirt and we don't want garbage outside of our house and cane rats will come and flies and all those evil boogie monsters and we get scared about it. Come to Amlazi.
I know.
Come to Amlazi, brother. They haven't picked up refuse there in years.
No.
And I'm saying, are we not prepared to make a month's sacrifice to make it better for Amlazi? Surely we can do that. I mean, let's be real, guys.
Absolutely. You know, in the crime we stood together, the same with that if we've got to go and do our own dump or stuff at the dump for a month to prove a point, heck yes. If Bucky's guys that can do it to facilitate and help it, we stood together through the crime, the looting, the floods. Come on, guys, we can do this, yeah.
Amen.
Come on.
Everybody recycled everything. We don't have a hell of a lot of burn stuff or bury it.
Yeah. We got 2 dumps in our area here, guys. Sea and at the first park.
There's also City Hall. I'm sure they'll welcome your trash.
But see, guys, whatever those solutions are, and I'm sure they're great solutions, the solutions that we need to find need to be for everyone.
Yeah.
We all need to find the solutions and bring everyone up together. And the reason I'm saying this is, you can drive around in Tekwini. There's a lot of informal settlements around in Tekwini. Like it, hate it, love it, do whatever you want. The fact is they're there, they exist. And people live there. Now, they don't pay for services, we know that. The Constitution makes it fair to them in that they need to get free basic water and electricity. We accept that. We've got no issue with that. But where I have an issue is as a community, as a city, as a government, we have to make provisions to deal with the human waste and the natural waste. And that's what we're not doing. This country is failing. People are staying in these communities, women, children, whatever. They do not have a place to bath and all of that. And the waste is accumulating outside those communities. You can go now, you can come have a look. It's an environmental disaster. And I said this to one community during the week we were talking about this. We can think about ourselves and we can put ourselves in these pedestals and whatever we want to think about ourselves, we can do this. And if we class ourselves as better than others, that's where the problem is. So we're on this boat in the sea, and we are on the upper level, and we regard ourselves as the uppers. So we have all the nice things, the sun, we're sunbathing, we're enjoying everything, music, whatever. And in the bottom level, we have all what we regarded as the lower levels. And these people don't have access to what we have. They don't even have the sunlight, etc., etc., etc. So we keep them in the lower level. And we're not worried about them, but we're taking this journey. And the people in the bottom do not have the resources that we have. And they're locked at the bottom. So that's basically what it is. They're locked. So they ask us for help and they say we want water. And we refuse them. We ignore them. We carry on partying. And they keep knocking and they say we want help, and we're ignoring them. So what do? They make a hole in the bottom of the ship to let the water in, not thinking it's seawater, whatever, they need the water. So they make the hole in the bottom of the ship, and the whole ship sinks. All of us. And we destroy. So we have to take into account communities around us. It's very important.
Well, that's why I said if you get that savings from monitoring tenders, then instead of going into whoever's pocket and having a left or right, it can actually go towards sorting out a community.
So to be honest with you, we've had experts come to us because they could see where we are and they wanted to help us and give us vision, etc. I'm standing here, I'm talking like I know everything. To be honest with you, I'm just repeating what people taught me and guided me. So we look at the best solutions and we present it. We talk as the exco, we formulate the decisions and we present it because it's at the time it's sounding right. Part of the problem is when this one particular individual came to us, our biggest concern in Westville was the raw sewer. We got raw sewer flowing to people's houses. People are getting sick. We were up in arms about this. And this guy knocked on our door. He said, hey, I know you're focusing on the sewer, and yes, it is a problem. But you've got a bigger problem. So I said, what do you mean? We started to talk about the water infrastructure. The water infrastructure in Etequini is so bad. It's seriously bad across the city that it's going to get worse in the next 6 months. And he told us, you can do what you want, 1 year from now, 2 years, but if you don't focus on the water, Etequini will be in trouble. So the suggestion was, and the reason I'm talking about this is because you opened the subject. And if you keep doing this, I can stand here the whole night and talk, so we better stop. So we're talking about the water, right? And you know that they're charging you a R1.48 infrastructure levy, right? You know about that. And over and above that, you are paying excessively high for the water. You know that as well. And the city is losing 56% of the water that it buys. You know that as well. What the city lost in the last 5 financial years, 7.5 billion yen lost. So we looked at this scenario and we said, you need to deal with this, at bite size at a time. You can't take the whole thing, it's too much. But if you take on this particular project on behalf of the city, so a public-private partnership, put it on the table to say, let's look at fixing this water infrastructure, because we have to fix it. We can sit here and we can complain and complain and complain. No one's going to fix it till we get down and we say, let's fix it. And this is what he's saying. Forget about the past. What happened in the past happened in the past. We're not even interested in that. We're not interested in orange overalls. We're not interested in that. We're interested in our future and our lives. So I keep saying it to the other people, you have this naughty child, and the child makes problems and screams and throws, messes the room around, and you keep saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. You talk to the child nicely and you say, stop it, stop it, stop it. Eventually you take a shot and you smack him, then he listens. This is exactly what we're doing. So we're saying, forget about the past, let's move forward. We want to partner with you, the city, to fix the water. But we want total control. So public-private partnership, they've done it before, not far from here in terms of the wastewater treatment plant, where they were treating the wastewater and supplying the water to Monty and to Toyota, I think it is. So they do have this, they've done this before. We're saying, allow us, give us that opportunity so to start firstly to cut the water losses. Because we have to, it's a natural resource, it's expensive. So we want to curb those losses. How are we going to do this? By investing in the infrastructure. How are we going to invest in the infrastructure? We have a few businesses who are willing to come on board to put money. But they're not prepared to put money if the bucket is leaking. If we close the holes, they'll put money and we'll start to fix the infrastructure. Whatever savings we get from curbing these losses will come back into the project and ring fence to help push more infrastructure repairs. So it's a long-term process, probably a 40, 50-year process. But it has to start somewhere.
Can I tell you that I was a year ago involved in a project with hydroelectricity where we've got 5 allocations of land in Inanda with the right to pitch. These entities have got funding to put up all 5 plants, which would be enough electricity to cover the entire country and more, and yet they are being blocked by the municipality for a PPA. What is a PPA? A power purchase agreement. Everybody within eThekwini is blocking it because of backhands. Okay, this is something that we could take to a whole different level, and we could literally electrify the entire KZN and more.
Amen.
There we go.
You have space in your car.
I rode with you.
Take over to.
Can we keep you?
Hundreds. I'm here.
Any more questions?
Can I just ask you something? Why do our rates and taxes go up every year? Because in Kumazi where we live,
It's not supposed to.
it's every 4 years. So I can't understand this.
Correct. So this is again a loophole in the legislation that allows them to do that. So it's called an interim budget. Ideally, your property is valued every 4 years, and at that 4-year interval, they will then do the 4-year projection. And as the years go, and they find that last year's budget is not meeting the demand, the Systems Act, the Property Rates Act, gives them the power to relook at it. And now what they're doing is, they're basically doing it every year. If you look at the IDP that they presented, next year, if we don't challenge this now, next year they're going to take an increase, and in the following year. So,
Yeah, this increase is going to be this year, next year, and the year after.
Because of the infrastructure of property is worth less.
so even if,
Go down.
you see, we are at the back foot. Seriously, in all instances, we are on the back foot. So even though your property value will go down, they will increase the rate randomly. So you don't win. Now, if you look at the electricity issue as an example, and this is what's happening in Cape Town more, and that's why you'll actually see those communities talking about it more. But it's happening here in Ethekwini also. A lot of people are moving off the grid. So inverters, solar panels, generators, etc., etc. And the more people move off the grid, and the less of you that stays on the grid, you will have to pay more for those people who left. So as you people, as us middle income, move off the grid, you're actually going to create a bigger problem for the poorest of the poor, because they will have to pay for all of this. So we have to put a stop to this. It's our responsibility to make sure that, because the municipality is not thinking ahead. They're not thinking of the impact this is going to have on the poor. A poor person can't buy a generator. They can't buy inverters. They can't buy solar panels. We can pretty well give up this fight as Westville, and I keep saying this. But because we started this fight, and because so many people wanted to join this fight, we can't back down now. In fact, it's become a just cause. We're just going to do this because we're actually fighting for those people who can't fight for themselves.
I don't quite know how it works, okay? And I'm very limited in my official things. But from my point of view, I have an amount that I pay because I have my rates, my electricity on one account. How will the municipality know when I'm now paying just the electricity part, not my rates part? How do I know they don't allocate that to the rates? Means something I'm not saying on my own.
And that's why we're saying you don't give them 1 cent.
So what I'm not paying.
You don't pay them a cent. Everything, whatever that bill is, it's a consolidated bill. They refer to it as a consolidated bill. You'll have your electricity, your water, your rates, your refuse, sanitation, all on one bill. Some people have it split. We're not paying them a cent. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. Everything. So if you have rates separately and you have a utility separate bill, we're paying them nothing. We made this clear. We know how can we give you our money and you're not protecting our money? So how can we say, okay, I will keep my rates money, but I'll give you this electricity money? It's not making sense. We're giving them nothing because they can't look after anything. Don't be scared, man. I'm going to give you my phone number, you put me on speed dial. Yeah. So that's a very good question. I think God is funding us, to be honest. As the Westville Ratepayers Association, I told you we are almost 2.5, 3 years. We are driven by a membership fee. So to be a member of the WRA, you pay a yearly subscription of 120 Rand. Works out to 10 Rand a month. That money has been sitting in our account and accumulating. In fact, we hardly ever touched that money until we went legal. So we've managed to build a little bit of cash. And over and above that, we do have people who have donated to us. In fact, we've got some people that just give us 500 Rand a month. We've got some businesses that have donated maybe twice or thrice 1,000 Rand a month. Friends of Angels. We've got people on our exco that's donated substantial amount of money. I don't want to disclose how much, but crazy amounts. Exco ourselves, if we short any month, we put money into the organization to keep it going. But what we've done in terms of this campaign is we've taken it upon ourselves to cover all legal costs, including if there's penalties, reconnections, whatever cost there are. We said we'll cover this. So what we looked at was, how do we generate or how do we self-sustain? Because these are costs, it's a fact. So one was that we take this money that we're saying withhold and put it into an investment account. Whether we get 6%, 7%, or 8%, it will help us towards all of those costs. So we're hoping that covers it, but if it doesn't, we've got a few businesses who have committed to say, if you short, come to us, we'll help you.
And what's also crucial is if you've got attorneys or entities that have a specialist in that field and they are prepared to give their services for free and just the rest of the costs are covered, that also plays a big role in the sponsoring their time and their expertise for free, but all other costs are then, so it cuts down your cost factor.
I have to tell you, we are so, what's the word?
Blessed.
No, besides being blessed, I mean, our finances are open to public record because we're an NPC. In fact, we're going to an AGM in the next couple of weeks, and we have to be financially prepared for that because we are being audited in terms of handling public funds. But if you look at our books, our costs are like, well, now obviously because we've got legal fees, but if I take out legal fees, I think our operating costs is less than 1,000 rand. Am I right? Yeah. Less than 1,000 rand. It's 60 rand a month for telephone, which is actually paid privately, so it's not even a WRA cost. But we've got one of our exco guys paying for the telephone. We've got, I think, 100 rand or 200 rand that we pay monthly for hosting Teams meetings, and we had to get that because the trial version only allows you 1 hour and 40 minutes and then kicks you out. And then, unfortunately, because we're having regular meetings with the municipality and we then took a decision as an organization that we needed to have a paid service. So that's the other cost that we have. And what other cost? Absolutely no other cost. If we have a public event and we host and there's meals, the exco dig into their pockets and we pay for that. Because it's public funds, we're very hesitant to actually even use it. Even coming to you guys, I mean, we've been traveling now almost everywhere. We do it at our own personal cost, not to the cost of the WRA. Don't even spend that money. It's difficult to answer that because the process that we're going to roll out will be the actual real number, so to speak, because it's going to take your money. What we rolled out was the mandate, to basically get the mandate from you to say, yes, you want to be part of the process. In terms of that, I think I can say about 1,500, roughly. No, they haven't taken money, so there's no financial transactions.
We haven't disclosed banking details yet.
We're talking about membership into the WRA or membership into the campaign.
No, what he's asking is how many current members do you have under your organization at present?
So we have...
That are boycotting.
You're talking about the rates.
Okay, well, let's just get membership, then the current.
I'm not worried about the membership. I'm worried about how many members are currently going on this process.
But it's important to know how many members and then how many.
Okay, I'll answer both. So like I said, we haven't opened that processes yet, where we're going to actually take money and put it into this account. So meaning that you have given us permission to put your money there. We haven't opened that as yet. We are going to be opening that. But in terms of people who want to do that, it's about 1,500, 1,600 people that are ready to do that. In fact, I'm not sure if you're on our groups. Every day, even if I go and look at it now, people are like, where's this account number? Where's this account number? Give it to us, we want to put our money with you. And we're saying, hold on. To answer your question in terms of the Westworld Ratepayers Association, this is our members, direct members from Westworld, and not from anywhere else. So it's exclusive to Westworld. We have about, exact number now, maybe 982.
The second part of my question, sorry, if they do go with the process, obviously everybody's paying a different value in their monthly account. It's a totally different value. Who is going to administer values that each person is paid in, so the money is being paid across?
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good question. So,
Can you repeat it for the? Sorry.
he wants to know how we're going to administer the process and tie it back to an individual who's actually in the process. So, in fact, that's one of the reasons why we haven't opened that up, because we're testing and retesting and testing and retesting. So one of the provisions that we've spoken to the guys today that are working on this, because we've been testing and we're finding that it's not to our liking. So when you click on the link, it takes you into a portal. You need to give us your name, your address, your telephone number, your email address, your account number, and the amount that you are going to be putting into this account. We're tying it up, or we're putting checks and balances so that the amount is linked to the account number, to the address and your name, so that it becomes unique to you. It will then issue you a unique number. So we're hoping that we don't go to the second month, but if we come into the second month and when you do the second payment, the system is able to recognize you and allocate it into that particular, whatever, I don't know what the term is.
Have you got an accounting firm doing that? Who's writing the program for the accounting?
Our accounting firm is Hansa and Gordon, but we don't mind. We can always take on someone else. Doesn't harm to.
Run by an accounting firm.
No, we do have Hansa and Gordon. In any event, today the technology is so advanced you don't need those firms. FMB itself has an accounting software which can draw out statements from whatever money goes into the account. In fact, that's one of the things that we're actually exploring.
How will it take before we can start?
You mean putting the money in there? No?
Keep going, I want to plug it hole.
Yeah. Let's say latest Monday afternoon. Latest Monday afternoon. In fact, once everything is tested and 100%, I want to be the first person. I don't want you to be the first
So
person.
don't email me the details before you get it.
Yeah, I want to be the first person to do this. So we'll go on TikTok and YouTube and what. We're going to make it a big story. We want the whole world to see that we're doing this. Any more questions? Or we can call it quits. When you say lose, in which sense? Your money will be safe now. And once we resolve this issue, it goes to the municipality. It's their money actually, it's not our money. So that money in that sense is safe. But when you're talking about lose, it depends what you're talking about. So if you're saying, you lose your house? No. going to lose a little bit of services, yes. But
Can I make an offer here as well? I'm in the financial sector, and we are regulated by FISCA, which is the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. Every person that is in professional entity is monitored by what they call professional indemnity cover, and that includes attorneys, that includes accountants, etc. I'm prepared for the organisation to pay the PI cover for the organisation to make sure that one, it safeguards all of the funds and every single process that this organisation acts upon, and if there's any breach of that, the professional indemnity cover will cover it.
Amen. Round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Enzo is reminding me, he's saying, you know, I didn't know you, who you were, and what. And that's the truth. I only knew him now about a couple of years with him. But he's one of the earliest people who joined the WRA. And he sat there and he was lurking. He's probably checking me out and trying to figure me out. Who's this guy? And one Sunday afternoon, he decided to call me. And we sat on the phone for almost 2.5, 3 hours. In fact, my wife was wondering who's I was speaking to. She probably thought, no, that can't be a guy. For so long. Anyway, we spoke. And the very next day, he became an executive member. And since he joined the organization, he's amazed, we're all amazing. The reason I'm giving this story is the people that we've come across, the professional people that we've come across, we've been blessed. It took us a long time to get the attorney that we have. We looked at over half a dozen, we even looked at Shepston and Wiley, by the way. Shepston and Wiley was one of the choices. Garfield, something, another big law firm. We looked at them. And in fact, at EXCO meeting where we were going to take a decision to appoint Shepston and Wiley is where we met this attorney, the current attorney that we have. He's a no-name brand, seriously. When I say no-name brand, I hope he's not watching and he gets offended by it. And I say a no-name, I mean compared to Shepston and Wiley. Like if I tell you his name is M.W. Joseph, you don't even know who we're talking about. But we took a decision to say he may not be as known as the big guys, but he knows the law, and law is law. And he's passionate. So we took it. And I promise you it was the best thing that we ever did. And like that, we've come across other individuals. And there's another lady today sitting in the crowd. We don't know who she is. She don't even know who we are. But you think, no, maybe we planted her here. Now she's part of us. But what I'm saying is we meet people like this. And they add value to us. And it just happens to come like that. I promise you the people that have joined us are exactly like how there's a spark.
Passion to get it done. That's
Correct. There's a spark, we click.
and make it done.
But it's something
And
that we need, that expertise. And here you are, in a church.
So ma'am, it's an account held in the name of the WRA. In terms of how it's structured, it's an investment account. I've said that because we're looking to create some money or generate some money out of it. So in terms of the process, it's the current finance team that sits on the committee. It's made up of 3 individuals. I don't even sit on that. And because it's a business account, it's what's the term I use? So they do this electronic approvals and
Verification, authorizations.
there's a process it's referred to. So anyway, no one person has access to the account. So one has to load the payment or whatever, and a second person has to approve. Online banking enterprise, that's what it's called. So two people have to, one has to load and one has to approve. The decision that we've taken with the banks, and they've agreed, that even though we have that, which is the two-step process, the instruction to the bank will be in writing to say that whatever money goes into that particular account, that account will be frozen until a further instruction is given to on that account. Meaning, we will freeze the account for all monies coming in. It will only be open for transaction once a second approval, written approval, is given to the bank to say an amount of X, whatever, needs to be paid. What we've gone further to do is to say there's only one beneficiary on that account, which is the eThekwini Municipality. So that account can only pay out to eThekwini Municipality and nobody else.
Yeah, so
But even that, so that became a discussion point. In fact, I said, don't make that stipulation to the bank to say that only make it to eThekwini. Because what if someone wants to withdraw at any point, and for whatever reason, not even for ratepayers, for any reason, let's assume you put the money into this account, and 2 weeks later, for some reason, you're not sleeping well, you worry, hey, my $4,000, those guys are going to run away with my $4,000, and you feel uncomfortable, and you say, I want to withdraw. In terms of the rules, we have to give you the money. Now, if we had it in an attorney's trust account, it's too complicated. We wouldn't be able to just release it. In this way, we can release it. So I put this argument forward. I said, don't make it strict. Don't make it only to eThekwini being the beneficiary. The lawyers that were sitting here and some of these bright sparks who can think ahead, they said, but in any case, the person who's putting this money is putting it for the municipality. So we will take an instruction from that individual to say, release my funds to eThekwini. So you give us the written instruction, we will give the written instruction to the bank will pay, the bank will then pay eThekwini according to the account number that you provide.
after it's been loaded and released by two ex-government.
We've looked at all scenarios. Seriously, we've looked at it because lots of communities raise this concern with us. And we accept it. We can understand it's public money. So people are apprehensive, you know.
You might have this estate agent, you might have a deceased person.
Sorry?
You might have a deceased person, and then it would have to go.
Exactly.
Wind up your estate.
Exactly. Correct.
But then you have exceptions of
Exceptions to the rules.
EXCO. So again, you've got all kinds of verifications, even in changing accounts, making changes. Part of the PI is IT verification. There's all these controls that are put in place, and it's compliance and things like that, which we work with every single day in our sector.
You know, I mean, even to change a person on the banking is seriously complicated.
Absolutely.
It's difficult. But I mean, it's there for a reason. So, by the way, ma'am, we don't hope to go so long that the person dies while we're there. I'm just saying. I'm hoping that we don't go more than 2 months. We don't want anyone to die, but yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
Maybe mention that they have called for a meeting,
Yes.
but unfortunately they're all in Russia.
So this is an important point. I mean, they are taking us serious, but I don't know how serious it is. They do want to meet with us. I don't know if they were hoping that we would actually stop the protest and would obviously buy them a month's time. But we made it clear. We said, we'll take the meeting because they wanted to know if we still wanted to meet. I said, of course we want to meet. We want to meet at any point, even in the middle of the protest. We still want to meet. But we're not stopping the protest. So we'll agree to a meeting. We will continue to do what we're doing because we need to see whether you will agree to our terms and conditions. If you agree to it, then we'll end the protest and we'll give you the money, as long as you've agreed to all of the principles. So They asked me, when do you meet? When do you want to meet? So I said, I'll meet now, tomorrow, if it's good for you, we'll make the time. And then they're like, no. We can't meet this week, we can only meet next week. Maybe it's in Russia. So I said, okay, fine. You tell us when you're ready to meet, we'll meet.
Why do you go to French room?
Yeah, I would think it would, because Durban is hosting the BRICS, so even if he went on a business trip using Ratepayer money, it would be justified.
Why don't we get our rates and taxes accounts? We've got two separate accounts. So we've got our electricity one, but we haven't got our rates.
I know they gave an explanation this week. Today an explanation came out
Fiber.
to say that someone stole the fiber,
So.
it's delayed.
Apart from that, guys, I don't know if there's any other of you in this area, but I got all excited a couple of weeks ago that I got 5 envelopes from each Queenie that all went back to the centre of January, February. And I'm not the only one, so yeah, that's the joke. So it's either our post office or when I went in and raised a query with them, in fact, yesterday, and I told the lady she just laughed. So it's definitely not only our post office.
We don't even have that.
We haven't had since then, so I've got those then and I haven't had anything since.
Can I tie this up?
Yeah.
Can I end the live? Can I end the live?
I haven't got my email either, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to know if you have a website and will you be putting the online link for this contribution on the WhatsApp group that we're joining through these little slips? How will we have access to that link? And then secondly, what is your experience in getting, because I've counted 30 bodies in the room from an IRA community of probably 3,000 or 4,000. What is your experience in terms of getting the message out? And, ideas for how to get more meetings and more bodies in chairs. So, because I think there's value in a physical meeting, because a WhatsApp is a lovely place to read about it and share it, cry, and say, oh yes, and then people don't react. Whereas here we have almost physical facts, and I'd like to know what your experience is with that.
It's a very good question, I don't know how to answer it. But we've been to different venues and different expectations and different results. So I'll give you an example. Durban North called a public meeting and they did this within 3 days. So the lady heard about us. I didn't know who she was. She messaged me, she asked me, are you available? When are you available? I said, you give me a date and I'll be there. And within 3 days, she put something together. Obviously, people will respond better to the people they know. So if I had to put out a message here, people don't know who I am, they don't know what I am about, or any one of us from the WRA, they wouldn't take us seriously. But for those of you who do have influence in the community, people will respond a lot better to you. So that particular lady, her name is Vanessa. In fact, she was responsible for flying in a lot of the food stuff and the medicines in the riots. So people knew her and they knew that she's genuine. And she was able to pull a crowd of over 500. So that was a great response. And then for me, 20 people, 30 people, if all of you can believe in what we're doing, the reason why we're doing it, and we're doing it for the greater good, you will take this message and pass it on to someone else and someone else. And we just leave it in God's hands. We can try. All we're doing is we try. Look, we do have Facebook. We do have, in fact, we have a website. But for this campaign, we're going to direct people into the campaign campaign website. We didn't want to confuse the two. So direct you into the campaign website because it's only for this and nothing else. Our website has membership fees, donation, all those other
And
stuff.
that will be on the WhatsApp group.
We will post the link for the webpage, correct?
Guys, all we need is a couple of passionate people here that know a lot of people to get the word out, to speak to different groups. There's tons of groups doing great things, tiny towns, action groups, etc. Just the only way that you make a difference is standing together with what you have in common, not what differentiates you. All we want to do is come together on these common areas, stand together for our community, bringing all the guys around, all the interest groups, and I'm happy to get actively involved in pushing this because I feel extremely strongly about this.
And I also think if you're on a street group of any description, if you don't go away from here and give a report back on what you experienced today.
100%.
We'll also share this Facebook Live link to the groups, and you can share this with anyone who didn't attend the meeting. It's as good as being sitting in these chairs.
Guys, I can address something. We have our